It is a new year, but I'm still the same old me reviewing these chapters, recapping these chapters. I don't know actually what I do. But today I do know that we will be going over the action, comedy, adventure, magic, drama, fantasy, Iken Sinki Valdio. I definitely pronounced that 100% correctly. I have never mispronounced a name or word in my entire existence. Chapter 1. Surreal Sword. We start off with a boy. Well, he didn't really wish for much. He just wished for a normal life, ordinary life, as he looks up, as he sees a star, and then sees a lot of stars. I guess Radon was in the neighborhood just passing through. So you know that does indeed happen. And then he wakes up and finds himself, and oh my god, it actually might be Elden Ring. Holy shit. As he looks around and is kind of like, hold on, wait a minute. I remember me dying, but I'm not dead. Why? And then he remembers a fox girl is like, did she clutch up and save me? Did she save the team? As he's like, but could she have used her life to save his life? She's like, hey, you're awake. What's up? And he's like, who are you? He's like, well, she's so happy to see he's alive. He's wondering, how does he feel? Does he feel great? And he's like, what happened? What happened? You're a child. And she's like, I'm not a child. I'm Kohaku. How is she and why is she small? She's just kind of like, I'm a bit what they call special. When my mana gets really exhausted, I turn into a child. That makes no sense whatsoever. They ain't got no time because she's kind of like, hey, we gotta leave from this place. And he's kind of like, what do you mean? She's like, hey, there's a war going on outside. It's like, there's a war? Like, yeah, so we probably want to skedaddle out of here. Let's go outside and I believe the capital of Lindell is currently on fire there, sir. He's like, yeah, no, I think Lindell happened to be on fire. What happened while I was asleep? What happened to the nation? Why is everything going on? He's perplexed. And is that Appa? No, that would be Yappa. Is that a bison, bunny, bull? It's something. She asks, hey, we gotta get a move on. So, andale muchachos. And, she's glad to see he's eating well. So, that must mean he's fine if he has such a strong appetite. And he apologizes, saying, listen, I'm sorry I didn't clutch up on the final circle of the battle royale. And they got me, and you had to carry the team and take care of me and res me. And I'm just so sorry for that. It's just like, oh wow, you could be sympathetic and nice. He's like, don't rub it in, please. I listen. He's not cold-hearted enough to not, apologize when he realized what she did. She's like, oh, well, you are very welcome. And he's kind of like, listen, I'm very perplexed about what I'm about to say, but you're welcome to live in my house. Well, that escalated quite quickly. I would say so myself. And also, apparently she told she'll live with him too. I don't know what's going on. They proceed to go on. He's kind of like, yo, my house, what's going on? We're in the countryside, but we always go back to the house. And she's like, yeah, your house, that thing out of there. And he's like, why would my house be out of there? She's like, Did I forget to mention we're like 100 years in the future? It took him a century to wake up. What do you mean a century later? To be actually precise, 108 years and 3 months later. He's like, that's preposterous, because why haven't you aged a single day? And she's like, don't ask about my secrets. He's like, fair. But he doesn't really mind that it's a century later. It wasn't like 108 years ago. Things were much better for him. So like, yeah, but kind of like at the same time, what is he supposed to do? And she's like, hey, I found a town. He's like, really? That town happens to also be on fire, so they should probably head somewhere else. And oh look, they found an abandoned old fortress. He's like, wow, you have some really good peepers to see that from all the way over there. She's like, I have confidence in many of my abilities, and sight is one of them. He's got like, shouldn't we be concerned about like any mobs in there, like any bandits, thieves, any possibly old vindictive horn creatures, probably starting with the first name of M and ending in a T? She's kind of like, nah, I can deal with any of those old omen folk. He's like, but aren't you weaker now? She's like, I'm only like running at like 20% full capacity right now, but it's still good enough. But while they're here, they should probably look around. She's like, oh, yeah, I found some alcohol. A lot of it. There's too much to do. She genuinely doesn't know what to do with that much. He's got like, so what should he do? Like, what is he on about? He's like, listen, he doesn't know. He wants to express his gratitude for saving him and protecting him for 108 years. But like, why? What is the reason for helping him? Like, tell him so he can figure it out. And she's kind of like, I just want you to survive no matter what. He's like, I heard that before. What does that mean? Sway, you got to tell me the answer, Sway. Said, yeah, no, it's just that one thing. Just kind of want you to survive. That's it. Nothing much more than that. He's like, you know what? I give up. You know what? I'll do this. I'll just do just that. And so, he was thinking, and he was like, so this world is in war. So like, how are we gonna make like money? And he's like, because the only thing he can think of is going back. He might have to become a mercenary again. She's like, are you fucking out of your goddamn gourd? Didn't I just save you for 108 years? What do you mean you're just gonna go back and die? Like, listen, no matter how he looks, he's a professional. He's 10 years deep in this game. If it gets any dangerous, he will get out of there. He will just teleport to a grace. He'll be fine. She's like, hey, you remember that bandit boss that absolutely decapitated your run? Yeah, so everyone's as strong as the bandit boss now. He's like, what? Like, yeah. You see this here sword? Yeah, these are what we call legendary weapons, epic weapons, if you must, that have a unique ashes of war, some might say, that you cannot change. And everyone's just running around with all of these. So if you ain't really got one of these, oh baby, you gonna be visiting your site of grace a lot, I tell you, a lot. As you would assume, the feats are just preposterous. So yeah, you ain't got one, it's a wrap. And so that's why this war has been devolved and called the Surreal Sword Wars, because if you ain't got one of them swords, I don't even know why you out here. They don't even know why you out here on the field. And that's why the mercenaries' mortality rates have been higher than ever through the recent reports, and they seem to be ever increasing so rapidly. So mercenary is off the table. He's like, wait a minute, you said this is one of them swords, right? Oh my god, this is my opportunity. This is my time for my inner weeb to come out. This is the time for me to become the chosen one and show the world that I am actually nothing special. Nope, absolutely, sword's fucked. God damn it, what does this mean? And she's like, it's okay, everyone has your stats, your attributes just weren't correct for that sword. This is a dex sword. You put all your stats into strength. That's why you can't use it. But maybe one day there will be a Surreal sword you could use. He then asks, hey, you got a map? She's like, of course I got a map. Why wouldn't I have a map? He looks over the map and he's like, you think anybody else is gonna try to run this fortress pockets? She's like, I don't, the fortress doesn't have pockets. I don't think anyone. He's like, all right, great, let me go check something. He runs over to the mead, he grabs himself a swig, he drinks it, he looks around, checks. You know what? This will do. Like any good Minecraft inspection before you build a house. So she's like, so what have you decided? He's like, we're gonna make this fortress our home. And she's like, I was actually kind of thinking the same thing. He's like, great, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna cultivate. We can become self-sufficient. This is the safest place because, as you said, there's a fucking war going on outside. I don't know if you've heard. Not only on top of that, this is a great way for him to get a Surreal sword. He's like, didn't we just drop the whole thing about you going out there and dying, and just stupid death trying to get one of these swords? He's like, no, listen, right, listen to me. We're gonna make this place a tavern for travelers along the main road, and we're gonna wait for people with the Surreal swords to come up, and then we're just gonna get them, take them. They didn't really explain that part. He's just like, they're just gonna show up. I don't know if they're gonna hand it over. I don't know if there's gonna be a transaction fee. I don't know what the deal is. She's just like, a tavern. Why a tavern? We have enough alcohol to possibly fill the bellies of 7 small countries. I think a tavern is quite a good thing we can probably make going on here. And the alcohol tastes good too, so that's a little bit of plus. As he was a mercenary, he is aware of how well alcohol can do for weary old battle war torn veterans. And plus, even if no Surreal swords show up, they'll still get gold so they can survive. It all works out. She thinks, and she's like, you know what? Sounds brilliant. It sounds cash money if you ask her. But there's a question. So if his destined sword never shows up, what's the game plan? He's like, listen, we'll think about that when it doesn't happen. But for now, optimism. We're working off the principle of optimism. It's like, you're a bit naive, but you know what? We'll go with your plan. He's like, great. Now he's all fired up. It's time to make this the greatest tavern across the entire company. Or the greatest tavern across the entire continent. She's like, just don't work yourself to death. much appreciated. So we move on to chapter 2, water source. As they get to mowing the ground or plowing the ground, hoeing the ground, as some would call it, because there's a lot of ground and they seem to be making a bit of a secure foundation. So they plow the fields, but the problem is, would any crops grow in soil like this? She's like, it'll probably work. It should work. It'll take some time, but good enough, as they say. And he's very excited about this luxurious field. And the reason she's so confident is because she's been living quite self-sufficient up to this point. I mean, she's had to, because I don't know what else she could have done at this point in time. And she's like, I would also like the wheat field as well, because then we can make bread and then more beer. It's like, that's a genius, truly genius. Your mind's one of the great minds of our century. But he just now realized one problem. Hey, we need water, like a lot more water to be able to grow the crops. And after all that water he got yesterday, is this really it left? That's all they got? He's like, oh Lord, they're cooked. Because the water is a 4-hour trip one way. That's 8 hours back and forth. It is really, really long. But that's not the worst part. Remember that war-torn country part? Yeah, no, that part's the worst part of it. So, man, it's rough. It's rough out here in these streets, huh? People be out here making it, huh? And she's kind of like, we could always just relocate closer. He's like, that we can't do that. It would be an inconvenient spot with nothing around, and then it would become a haven for thieves. It's a terrible. We can't. They have to stay at the fortress. Remember, war-torn land. You kind of gotta, survive. But they are gonna have to definitely find a better water source, because this is what the kids call not it, I believe is what they say. So then our main lad decides to come up with his best solution: dig a well, or more or less just looking for an underground water vein, because that walking back and forth, that is actually for the birds. But he thought more about it and was like, we could use some gutters, some aqueducts, some infrastructure. We can make it work. We have technology. So he's just gonna dig away and then kind of hope to see if they got a water vein, because he would much rather at least try than to regret and not try. And she's like, well, you just want me to bash open a hole using my magic? He's kind of like, what? You don't need to waste your magic on something like this. This is what manual labor can do. Because also, we might really need that magic later on, so I would prefer if we just kind of save that. And he can't kind of just rely on her for each and every single little thing. Personally, I absolutely would. But that's just me, though. But he's kind of stuck. He can't dig any further without tools. So he's gonna find some more, so if she could just not bash it open with her magic. As he goes and ponders and thinks, he's like, man, there isn't any furniture. We only have this one set of clothes. This is an uphill battle. Ooh, this is one of them uphill wars they talk about. It's funny because there's actually a war going on outside. The winter's gonna suck. Oh man, they got a lot to do, but they need to find some tools. And as he's wandering around, he does the whole what? And I guess she just started digging for fun, but he stumbled upon something. He's found a cellar that goes deep, and I mean deep. Descending the staircase into the abyss of the secret cellar. As she then makes a joke about a horrendous monster being down there named Millennia for those of you common folk. And he's like, that's PTSD on such a severe level. He's like, but if you let your guard down, you never know. He's like, I know. But now they can finally see the end, so it's a sword. Is that one of them surreal swords that he's heard so much about in these legends? Myths. But it is a strange sword in my eyes here. Could it be King Arthur's sword? It's not King Arthur's sword. Maybe, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. He tries to pull it. That sword is not budging. Unfortunately, that stone is too deep. She's like, move out the way, pussy. Let me go ahead and give it a crack. He's like, you're gonna hurt yourself if you do. And she yanks it out. And oh my God, is that water? It's water. Oh my God, it's water. The Deus Ex Machina is absolutely blasting out of the ass here through these pages, I tell you. And he's like, you have the attributes to wield that surreal sword. So she should be happy. He's like, yeah, would you look at that? But now he's starting to think. He's starting to go, and he's kind of like, okay, we just solved our water problem. We're fine. Hey, the water's still rising. What's going on? You get over there? What's going on? And she's like, hey, the water won't stop. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, she's she's like, it just kind of keeps going and going. I can't really stop it. I've tried, but like my body's not listening to me, and it feels like this sword's just kind of sucking all the mana out of me. So she's like, but I think I might be able to let go of it. Like, we can't wait. Let go of the fucking sword. Hurry up. And he manages to separate it, and the sword goes even more ballistic, and she's drowning. He's like, oh god, oh god, oh no, oh no, as the water then starts chasing him upstairs. Holy shit, the entire fucking place filled with water. How much? It turned into a geyser. It's flooded. Everything is flooded. But you know what? That's fine. And she, honestly, she's just like, I guess her curiosity is speak like, oh, the surreal sword's capable of this. Yeah, nope. I see why that. I see why the surreal swords are just GG swords. You ain't got one, dog. It's GG. Wrap it up. It's GG easy. But now that the water problem is solved without a hitch, I mean, I guess you could say without a hitch, they've managed to make a river now. So there's now a nicer place to live, and they're definitely going to get ransacked by some thieves. Chapter 3, Tavern. Now the tomatoes have grown. It's finally completed. They've built the tavern, the mud hut tavern that would probably suck to be in. That shit ain't got no AC. I know it's like 104 degrees in there. Oh, it's like a toaster bake oven. Oh my god, it would be dreadful. Holy shit. But for now, they'll start with alcohol and water. They'll worry about the food, you know, a little bit later once they get around to it. But they need to make sure they got cups and plates. And then he's like, hey, you're really enjoying this. She's like, absolutely. I'm stuck just babysitting you for 108 years. Anything is better than that. But he, of course, getting closer to that opening time, has some doubts. It's weighing on his mind. He's, that self-doubt starting to creep in. And so he was like, man, maybe I should give up. She's like, no, it'll be fine. No. He's like, but the risk. She's like, hey, listen, did mama raise a bitch? No, mama didn't raise a bitch. We're not giving up. Okay? We're gonna go through the end. And he's kind of like, fine, because mama ain't raised no bitch. So now they've opened up shop for a week. It's like a soft open. It's like how Ubisoft launched their NFT games and didn't tell nobody. They kind of did they opened up a tavern, but they didn't tell nobody. So does anyone even is a tavern really open if no one knows that it opened? See, those are the real questions that we got to ask. So they just kind of enjoy the moment, enjoy the breeze. You know, he gets to thinking of like, who is she again? I don't know. Where's she from? Family, friend? Who is she? She uses her eagle eyes to say someone's coming in the distance. He's like, oh, maybe it's a customer. Once again, I remind you, this is a war-torn country. I don't think any customers are on their way there, Jackson. We then get a glimpse of a female knight named Safia, as she then runs up and is like, hey, yo, who told y'all you could do business in this turf? How does she know it was open? Did they put out flyers? How do people know this is open? It is questions that honestly are irrelevant to the purpose of the plot, so we move forward. He's like, business. Are you talking about us? He's like, don't you act dumb with me. There was a sign 15 minutes here about a tavern. Oh my god, they set up a single sign? He didn't know they set up signs. When did they set up signs? When did she set up a sign? She asked, are you not listening to me and committing crimes simultaneously? You're like, what? Listen, we lost our homes from the war. We were just drifting. We didn't think this remote area belonged. We just set up shop. And she's like, but isn't the kingdom of Gardo located like to the west? And she's like, huh, you don't know. The kingdom of Gardodius was victorious in the previous war and has claimed this entire domain. Oh, well, that's interesting. Also, like, how does the domain work? It's not like domain expansion. Like, you don't just get to take that over. I mean, I guess, but they did actively take it over. So Safia is like, I will ignore it just this once, but you also must leave at once. Kohaku's like, do we have to leave though? And he's like, so, but if we get permission from your kingdom, we'll be good. And she's like, huh? And, you know, she gets the Solid Snake alert sound. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, all right, well, I guess we'll just have to go get permission ourselves and, you know, go to the kingdom. She's like, okay, that sounds great, but that demi-human under arrest. That's definitely racism. That is the most oh man, I didn't know she worked for ICE. Oh my god. As he's like, excusez-moi, mademoiselle, whatever the fuck you mean. Trespassing, no demi-human, no half-human motherfuckers are coming in this goddamn country. I can tell you what. And you're like, oh my god, holy You're like, oh, so it is racism. Ah, damn. It doesn't matter what century you're wearing, huh? That's fucking crazy. But she will be held in prison. He's like, hey, yo, whoa, we got a motherfucking problem. We got a serious goddamn problem. Who about to arrest who? For what? Absolutely not. You gotta be fucking kidding me. He's like, what? She's like, your attitude. Sophia's like, your attitude was with the big bill. We're just gonna arrest the demi-human. I don't see what the problem is. As he's like, Safia, I want you to listen to me closely. You blue-headed bitch, I will burn this entire fucking continent to the ground if you come within 3 feet of Kohaku. Do you understand me? And Safia like, ain't no way he called me a bitch. Ain't no way. I must have misheard. He must have been speaking to someone else that is around here. And Kohaku just in the background like, oh, they wildin', huh? And Safia's other troops are like, you goddamn bastard, how dare you disrespect our madam like that? And she like, I guess words ain't gonna work no more. I guess we gotta scrap this out. And he's like, you right. Words clearly ain't gonna work no more because we got a motherfucking problem. And Kohaku's like, Cleo, you might not want to. He's like, don't you stop me. Don't hold me back. I got this. I'm about to beat the brakes. And she's like, prepare yourself. He's like, come at me. As they clash swords and they clang, clickety clang. She's like, ha, so you are someone who's not a complete fool with the sword. He's like, huh, so you all bark and no bite. And she's like, oh, if that's the case, how's this one, you fool? He's like, oh no. Is that one of them surreal swords? Oh, she got a blicky, huh? I thought it was just a ratchet. She brought out a hammer. Oh my God. Oh, hey, Kohaku, what am I supposed to do about this? Kohaku's like, what do you mean possible? What do you mean? What did you think? Are you one of them fucking morons? No, you are a moron. He's like, I'd appreciate it if you just didn't call me a moron. I'd much appreciate it. Listen, even though she may have a surreal sword, she ain't that bandit boss. Her swordsmanship is fucking 5th rate at best. It's fine. I got this. As they run and clash together, and she goes for a jumping attack. You fool, you're now in the air. As Cleo just dodges easily. And woo, baby, that right there is a checkmate. I'm like, Compton. He's like, I knew it. You're not strong at all. You're weak, a pathetic little shrimp. You hear me? You hear me? You're nothing. You're a naive child in the way of the sword. You don't know what you're doing. You're just somebody who fights for fun. I fight to survive. Now, if you can go ahead and tuck your tail between your legs and run on home, you heathen. And she hits the, I haven't lost yet. This fight's only begun. She's watched too many anime. And Kohaku's like, Cleo. He's like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Hey, oh God, is she ascending beyond just an ordinary Super Saiyan? And she's put more power into this. And she's letting it. She's letting it go. I think I've made a terrible decision. I think my judgment might be what they define as poor. I believe is what they call in these circumstances. I just don't judge my judgment. We gotta go. And she is laughing maniacally, like, how's my power? Oh God, she's losing control of her power. As her friendly soldiers like, hey, we gotta retreat. As she can't control her power, she hit the tavern. And Cleo's like, she's dangerous. She actually can't control that, can't she? She's just spraying it all over the lot. All right, Kohaku, what are we going to do? And Kohaku is like, there's not a we. It is what I am going to do to her. Because I know this blue-haired Martha's my favorite Fire Emblem character ass bitch did not just destroy that. And Cleo's like, uh-oh. Siva's kind of like, hey, where did Cleo go? As Kohaku's walking through the storm of the valley of the shadow of death. Sophia's like, I see you, that's where you were. Cleo's like, you didn't kill her, did you? I mean, she's alive enough. Wow, Kohaku, remind me to never make you mad again. Ever, just in general. And she's like, Cleo, didn't I tell you that I wanted you to survive? He's like, damn. You know what? Now that I'm recalling the past memories of actions that have occurred in this current timeline, you did tell me something like that, didn't you? As she looks furious, very beyond furious. And Cleo's like, in my personal offense, I didn't know she was strapped like that. That's on me. That's my bad. As Kohaku says, Cleo, if you do this again, I will make sure that you will forever have to sit when you use the restroom. And Cleo's like, fair. We then move on to chapter 4, the demonic lightning swordsman. I guess they became customers at the tavern. I mean, that's what it looks like. They've managed to convince them to drink at the tavern. Well, outside of it, because, their captain did implode it. This is their captain, Safia. Safijiva? We're going with Safijiva for the rest of this video. Apologizes, and it's kind of like, I'm sorry. And Kohaku's like, you better be. And I'll apologize too. But I'm not going to apologize for what? It's fair to be fair. As then Safijiva then hugs her, saying, thank you, I'm so sorry. It was a terrible mistake on my part. Cleo's like, huh, why are you two hugging? This ain't that kind of place. What's going on over here? Safijiva's like, but she just feels like an older sister. That said, you heathen, I am the captain of the kingdom of Guardios 4th Knights Regiment. He's like, I really don't care. The only thing I care about is if you pay us matter of fact, pay us more for these drinks. Also for compensation for damaging our establishment. And she then goes ahead and grabs a drink, but oh baby, she gets one and she's like, aha, that is absolutely delicious. That is lightweight. 2 drinks in and she's out of there. And she's an emotional wreck. She's an emotional drinker. Some would argue the worst type of drinker. Or I guess the worst type of drunk would be more accurate. And she is plastered on, what is that, 2-3 drinks in? Yeah, she's gone. So she gets drunk. She starts complaining about all her problems because that's what emotional drunks do. And she then talks about a demonic lightning swordsman. And he's kind of like, Leo's like, who is that? She's like, you don't know about him, you country bumpkin. He's like, I should punch you right about now. I should, but I'm not going to. I'm going to restrict myself. As she then goes explain, he's like, he's a felon who came to our country about 10 days ago. And he's killed over 100 soldiers. 100 by himself. Oh my God. They call him demonic because of his horn, and his swordsmanship is just like allows him to, he's very dangerous. He's very strong, and they don't really know what he is. He could be a spy, or he could just be a serial killer, but he's very, very strong. It was like, huh, he does sound fairly dangerous if he does say so himself. And while, the main reason they were over here was they were kind of searching the area for him, but they could find zero information on him. As she then starts kind of shaking, he's like, what's going on? Are you not about to puke, right? As she then cries, God, she's an emotional drunk. She starts crying because she doesn't want to go back, because if they go back, she's going to be insulted even more by so many more people. Claire's like, but you just said you wanted to go home. I need you to make up your mind. And Claire's like, stop. I need you to, you're no more drinks. They're done. She wakes up, remembers what she'd done, and like most emotional drunks, she apologizes for what she said the night prior, like 12 hours. Yeah, probably 12 hours ago with what they said. As she gets really grumpy when she's drunk. As Cleo's like, that wasn't a bit. Pucko's like, thanks for the business though. You ordered a lot of drinks. So, rest easy. As Safijiva's kind of like, you know what? I'll allow you guys to do business here. That's fine. Go ahead. I'll put in a good word for you. And those two are like, safe travels. And Cleo shouts, don't work yourself too hard, because I really don't want to hear any more of your complaints if we're going to be honest here. Safijiva turns around to hear that. He's like, hey, just don't complain about what you were complaining about last time, because I just don't want to hear that. And Cleo's like, she's not going to make it, is she? And Kohaku laughs. As they are totally beat. It feels like 3 days went by and it was probably like 12 hours. But hey, it seems like they got permission to run a store, even though they really didn't get permission to run a store, but close enough. But, doesn't find it a little bit ominous about what she said about that demonic lightning swordsman? I mean, it's going to be fine. It's not like he's going to appear here or anything like that. I mean, but he killed so many people. And he's like mostly concerned because Kohaku hasn't recovered her power after spending her mana. So like, they probably should get some like defenses, huh? Yeah, maybe like hiring some mercenaries. But that's a lot of money. But they could do some barriers or traps. I mean, those are more realistic financially, but like, well, but they got plenty of time to think it over with. So, but first, they can't waste any money. They got some fields to attend to. And Kohaku's like, Leo, someone's in there. Leo's like, huh? Kohaku's like, shh, we're hunting rabbits. Leo's like, hey, you don't think it would be that demonic light? We were just talking about him. He wouldn't happen to be in there, would he? Kohaku's like, who knows? He could be anybody. Anyway, you gotta keep your guard up. It's like, yeah, I will. As he immediately almost gets taken out, frame one. As he turns around, and then is that a rock? An earth bend. The earth terraforms around and gets hit at him. As Kohaku apparently is the avatar, we just didn't know it. Cleo's like, who is this person? I didn't see him at all. I was like, no, you reacted actually pretty decently. Even she couldn't detect their presence until that last instance. He's like, that's probably the effect of the surreal sword. So, you know, Cleo's like, surreal swords can do that? She's like, yeah, probably. But he should probably be careful because there's a lot of them and they're probably all using surreal swords. So probably want to be careful as the number of them is honestly unnecessary. I don't know why there would be this many of them around. And Kohaku's like, hey, just stay close to me and it'll be fine. As Cleo's kind of like, three-eyed mask. I recognize that mask. Oh my god, they're part of an assassin's guild. Kohaku's like, how do you know that? Cleo's like, well, they've existed for a really long time. Honestly, I'm surprised that they're still alive. Well, I mean, they are really good at their job. Even though his past mercenary groups did get involved with them, but why are they here? And then we see it. A lone samurai wandering throughout the wilderness, as he says, just as I thought, there was a ruckus. It's you people again, huh? The three-eyed assassins turn around and Cleo notices. Is that a horn? The lightning demonic swordsman is saying, hey, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kill everyone here. As the assassins charge at the swordsman and the swordsman fucking lightning flashes and Cleo's like, oh my goodness gracious. As he goes, he takes out 3, then he takes out 2, then he takes out another one, and then he takes out another one and another one and another one, and then they are all defeated. So strong. Oh my, and Cleo's remembering what Safi Jiva told him earlier, and boy howdy was she correct. He was talking about him being very strong, wasn't she? And the assassins, they only got electrocuted and I don't know, they ran away. A lot of them ran away. And he's upset because he wants to chase them, but he looks like he's in a decent amount of pain. And Cleo's like, ooh, why did he look over there? And then the swordsman looks at Kohaku and is kind of like, strong. And Cleo's like, whoa, whoa. There's definitely too much dip on the chip now. Kohaku's like, you probably want to hide it right about now. And Cleo's like, you know what? Wait, why? Wait a second, time out. As he grabs Kohaku. And Kohaku's like, I don't want to be grabbed like a child. Stop grabbing me like a child. And he's like, listen, you can't waste stamina, like you can't waste your mana like this. He's like, I'm sufficiently capable enough to fight like this. And he's like, I'm not worried about you, you fool. I am worried about the fortress. If you two fought, it would destroy the fortress. I personally would like to keep the fortress in one piece. As he then yells at the swordsman saying, hey, what are you getting so bloodthirsty for? Why are you showing up suddenly? What is his problem? Stop, just stop it. He did? Stop. Just stop it. Get some help. They're just trying to be living peacefully and quietly off the grid like good old common folk, and yet he's trying to ruin it all. As he says he's hungry, as he's still in his Super Saiyan aura as his stomach is growling, as he then asks for some food and they happily oblige him, and he's like, how's it taste? It tastes wonderful. He's like, I haven't eaten anything in several days now. And Cleo's like, oh wow, you surprisingly have manners. But he's like, I dislike veggies. Complaining about a free meal? What are you, a child? As Cleo's like, is that really the demonic lightning swordsman we heard about? You know, he's kind of different than what he imagined. And the others are like, yeah, sorry about just giving him a meal, you know, kind of what I was asking. She's like, how come? He's like, you know, the resources aren't abundant. And also he might act up even after we give him some food. She's like, it's okay. I'll just have to make him obedient by force. That is indeed a solution and very reassuring. And she also says, you know, if you didn't stop me, I definitely would have fought him. Definitely. So, thanks for being a moderator and not allowing me to demolish him. He's like, listen, I mostly stopped you because I didn't want the house to be destroyed, so it's honestly not that big of a deal. And his actions today were quite admirable, but his actions yesterday when about to fight Safi Diva were still a no-go because he has to survive. He has to remember that. But he also must remember there are battles he can end without fighting and battles he can only win by fighting or end by fighting, you know. He's like, thank you for the wise words, Sensei. As the demonic lightning swordsman is like, hey, can I get seconds? And they're like, yeah, hold on, we gotta finish talking. And Kaku's like, that swordsman's very strong. He's only gonna get stronger. And I was like, yeah, I can see it. I can sense it from his key. Like, should we ask him to come on board the ship? And Cleo's like, what? Kaku's like, hey, you think we should just ask him to be a part of the ship or the fortress? And Cleo's like, huh? Chapter 5. Flame. Cleo's like, no, wait, didn't he kill like hundreds of people? Plus he's being targeted by like an assassin's kill. Like, yeah, that seems like a big target on her back. Cleo's like, yeah, but those are probably just rumors. Probably not even true. Probably just exaggerated. He was like, I mean, I guess I get what you're on about, but like, I'll go have a talk. I'll go have a little talk with him. She's like, and me, you'll be fine. As or Cleo's used to deal with rough, and he's gone. What the? Where did he go? As he's just by the river. As he's like, I don't know what he's on about, but there's not any, apparently. Cleo's like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm trying to fish. Why are you trying to fish? And he's like, I've been searching constantly. I just want fish. Honestly, I feel that. I fucking love me some goddamn fish. And Cleo's like, the river only came into existence rather recently, so don't expect any fish to be in there. Like, what do you mean came into existence recently? Cleo's like, listen, man, a lot happened. Sword, stone, flood, river. There's the summary. Hope you enjoyed it. And he's like, okay, good enough. And then Cleo's like, actually, wait here. And as he gives him some handmade soap, it's like, if you can clean yourself because you're absolutely filthy. As the swordsman's like, when is the last time I bathed? As he takes it off and has all types of war scars. And Cleo's like, God, look at his body. I mean, look at the scars. As he's like, he is a human. Was he tortured? Or he just stayed alive with a lot of injuries? Probably both. As the swordsman then apologizes, like, listen, I was wandering through the wasteland, saw a river, and then was trying to go for some fish, and I happened to stumble upon this. Didn't really mean to cause you two any trouble. It just kind of happened. Also, can he wash his clothes? He's like, sure, why not? And then Cleo asks the swordsman, hey man, so did you really wreck some shop? There's rumors, you going around controlling lightning, killing hundreds of soldiers a night. That's you? And he's like, Kingdom of that country. It was like, what are you on about? What do you mean that country? It was like, hey, what do you mean? You have to like your future actions. It's ironic hearing that come from Cleo talking about, hey, you should consider your future more. But how it must be difficult to live with assassins, and he's kind of like, it's not that bad. But that country didn't send assassins after him. And first of all, he hasn't even killed anyone from that country. But he didn't even do anything. They just started killing each other on their own, and he was just like around in the area. Cause like he was there, saw they started absolutely bodying each other, was like, this is not the right party for me, and he left. He was like, I knew I shouldn't have listened to the drunk. I knew it. And then like, so who sent the assassins? I mean, it's fine if he doesn't want to tell him. It was the boss of the slave district, as he was targeted because he escaped. He was like, slave district? What do you mean? As he's like, I was a slave, was a kid, got kidnapped, slave trader, every single day was hell, hated it, fought as a gladiator. That was also terrible. And then one day, managed to kind of hated it for all the nobles, spoiled people, But I was like, you did that every day? You did that every day? Oh, that's probably how he got all the wounds on his body. Well, I mean, he did very well to survive. As a knight's like, there is something he must do. He has to survive, no matter what. Even if he were to be stabbed in the heart, he cannot die. Cleo's like, what is that? As he's like, revenge. I am vengeance. As Cleo comes back, is like, Kohaku, he got a story to tell, I tell you what. But good news, he isn't a murderer. But even if they asked him to stick around, chances are not looking high there, man. It's looking about a Pokeball % chance to catch a Rayquaza. That's what it's looking like. I was like, well, that's kind of a shame. Cleo's like, man, but when he talked about it, he gave up some mad killing intent, so I have some sneaking suspicions that, Cleo's like, it gave me vibes of that bandit boss who murdered me that one time, so, I'm instinctively not already feeling great. As a nice, like, kind of think of it, he was in the middle of eating, wasn't he, when he hears a rumble? The rumble in the jungle! Like, Kaka's still talking to Cleo's kind of like, why haven't you asked him? You haven't asked, so how do you know? Cleo's like, come on, he told me it was gonna be revenge. And then she's like, but you still gotta ask. And Cleo's like, okay, you make fair points. And then Cleo's like, oh, wow, would you look at that? He's over there. As he walks over to him, and the swordsman's like, where did you get this? And Cleo's like, I don't know, because Kohaku over there found it and kept it with her. And asked him, does he know what this is? And then the demonic swordsman is kind of like, I've only ever seen this in drawing. I've only ever seen this in legend from the Shape of the Guard. It's one of the 4 demon master swords, flame. And Kohaku's like, 4 demon master swords? And the demonic swordsman's kind of like, it's overpowered as shit. And they're like, huh? As he's like, hold on, I need to borrow this for a second. He was like, wait, you're just gonna use that? As he starts drawing the sword to look upon it, Cleo's like, hey, man, you can't just touch other people's stuff. And Kohaku's like, Cleo, you might want to get back. As he draws the sword in the sword costume, as his stat attribution is perfect for the flame sword. And that was Ikensinke Volodeo. Like I said, never mispronounced the name in my entire existence, my life ever, flawlessly, no mistakes whatsoever. I do hope you enjoyed these 5 chapters and do decide to go ahead and give this manga a try. If you did enjoy this video, if you could go ahead, give it a like, subscribe, ring that bell, write a comment, your favorite part, favorite chapter, if you're going to read it, if you're not going to read it, all the things. However, I will catch you in the next one. I am gone. Peace.